Fáilte howtogael. This is a podcast brought to you by Fáilte Ireland.
Louise, Thought and Sarah, well and truly ling ag a buinte seo, and I'm dying to get away to the éigin in éirin.
Darren, I'm right there with you. I actually keep coming back to that feeling of, taking a short break and just tugging sus.
Oh my God, I know much in go bhfuil tú sair, the shoulders drop, you take in that big deep breath and you just think, Carcalor, I'm a sairnish.
Shinna Rod, do you know what it is for me? It's like the moment you arrive wherever you're going, you drop the bags, you take that initial little wander around and you're like, oh, it's on fuishiv shin. I've landed. I'm on a sus.
John, I'm feeling it straight away. I'm a little bit earlier than you. As soon as I hit the road, I'm blaring the Kyola radio to the Fanoga Hisagom. I'm heading west Bader toward Aigein Wild Atlantic Way. The sea, the cliffs, the swims. If you're feeling brave, it just wakes you up.
Well, ein team latags to is hain gur bralum ir hinatira. I love it. But on Sarah Shaw, I'm kind of feeling something more, I don't know, Rodaigan Suíomh nach Lorna Tira. I'm thinking the hidden heartlands. Nice little spa break, waking up, cushow and agdolig or coffee, agus Rodaigan quiche the das machine.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? In Ireland, you get to choose your own pace. One day you can go full adventure. The next day you can slow it all down. Níl an deferert.
Exactly, dear. In Shinna Rod, there's no delays in the airport. There's no long travel days. Tá sé dasty and blee. You just go and you can enjoy your break from the very start.
Yeah, those moments really stick with you afterwards. You feel really recharged, a little bit lighter, like you're reconnected with yourself again. The cup is full. Shinna Rod is tachty.
Sinead, and so whether you are chasing that Atlantic fin of an air or maybe you want to take a sus in the hidden heartlands, whatever you do this summer, tug sus the chain.
So what are you waiting for? Din plan dud hir a jaar inish ag discover Ireland.ie.
Linn and Teirig, you're never too far from a beer garden.
You're so right. I actually don't think like a recording session goes by ever in howtogael where someone doesn't suggest will we go mac or joch.
We get more Lydia Takiligan and we don't head in every time. But podcasting is thirsty work and sometimes you just need something refreshing.
Shiva, there's nothing better than chilling out and relaxing, especially with a Bulmer's strawberry and lime in your hand. Or have you tried the Bulmer's berry?
Oh, go hauling, poured over ice. So there's no better way to relax.
Totally. But coffee now like Rodbeo, Kjolbeo, agus Bulmer's Slavagat.
It's the original Irish cider, isn't it?
Clonmel champagne.
That's it. My taste buds are tingling already. And Kerker Brawl and Fuina Keenshaw, tá sé millish, but Neil sé rovillish.
Agus sin tábhachtach. Now tell me this, would you have yours with ice?
Quinta and a straw.
Ooh, notions. Well, Agus and Sarah built a linn. It calls for something refreshingly new. And do you know what that is? Bulmer's strawberry and lime, Agus Bulmer's berries.
So who's out this weekend? Should we go try something new?
Let the hull. Bulmer's strawberry and lime and Bulmer's berries are available now in shops and pubs nationwide.
Get the facts, be drink aware and visit drinkaware.ie.
Hello, Cordia. Agus Fáilte howtogael. I'm Louise.
Agus Lumsa Shiva, and we are fangirling.
I am actually sweating. Shiva, I'm going to say this on record, but we are at Taffet on Sus the Playground. Ivan's smiling at us now because he knows what's coming. The best recording studio in Lochlia. That's uncaged Rod Lerá. But backing onto our studio is a music studio. And we could hear the beats, we could hear there was vibes happening in Ackland.
Yeah.
So we said, Ivan, who could it be? Because in the past, we've
bumped into Dizzy Rascal and Johanna. Yeah, we're dropping all the names and you a horda.
Yeah, well, let me tell you who was next door. Only Khaki Kid and Femi, if you're fans of Irish music. Like, I did fangirl when I went in, didn't I?
Yeah, but V2 really charming. I was like, you had it turned all the way up.
I was giving it everything.
Yeah.
But then like Khaki Kid was complimenting my clothes and I was I just think he's really hot and talented.
Tá sé really, really cute. Kai mé rá. Like tá Vertigo really charming and like you missed it. Like dog tusa vi Louise Sucker Rodagant and I was like, they were like, do you want to put a word in this track? I was like, oh yeah, and then no, I didn't.
Sorry,
actually.
what?
No, I didn't actually record a word, but they were like, here, sit there and pretend like you're like mixing. And Khaki Kid took a video of me and.
You didn't tell me that.
Anna, am I on Khaki Kid's Instagram and it? Like, am I cool? But then I was like, they ripped the piss out of me because I'm like a mother in. But I'm a mother in my 30s. I actually feel like he might have been ripping the piss out of me.
Shiva,
I was like this.
Not you living my dream while I was going out putting straw or TG car in taxi. That is actually, I'm fuming. He put you, what?
Yeah, I had my earphones on and Femi was like pretending to like rap and I was like this. I was like, yeah, ní smó, Femi, ní smó.
That's literally like
and he was like, Ceir tar siú lága I was like, the mud didn't put creile gahanga belduris. It's bilingual, it's half an Irish, half an English. She's like, which half is which?
Sorry, I feel like I want to go and pull them in now and get them to come in and do a cameo. Ivan, can we do that? Is that weird? Okay, Shiva, I've actually decided let's not like ruin our street cred with them. We did just about enough to charm them and let's actually like slide into the DMs.
They actually said no.
That's a lie.
They said no. Coomer's shock and they were like, sorry girls, we're dropping fat
she's
beats.
lying. I'm going to slide in Khaki Kid to your DMs and Femi to yours. I've probably already slid, which is embarrassing. Can you double slide?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to double slide into your DMs. And we'll let them how to go.
See, tá A-lister agan ar an bud creile Hannah féin an tacht an seo. So let's not go overboard with
Fair.
too many A-listers on the podcast. So Yoma Dabach an seo. So let's go Raga. Ina Seachtainna, our A-lister.
She's such a little witch now because she's delighted she got her 2 seconds of fame on Khaki Kid's story. She even work at it again. Right. Ina Seachtainna. Episode na seachtainna agus tá is there in fáilte chur riimiis ar géad I Ella. We love a good guest on this podcast, but especially when it's someone that we've really, really been looking forward to talk to. And today is the day. This is the guest, Irish award-winning actress or actor. We'll ask her. Hazel Doupe, thank you so much for joining us. Hazel, is that a thing for you? Do you mind being an actress or actor? Does that bother you?
It doesn't really bother me. I always introduce myself as an actor, but it doesn't
Noted.
bother me. Yeah.
That's what we'll do in future now.
Award-winning though being the most important.
Yes.
Biggest award you've ever won?
Biggest award, IFTA.
Casual. So casual.
But it is. And it's so important to me. I think Irish awards are the most important to me anyway. Because they're the people I'm making the art for. That's the community that I want to impress.
Yeah.
And that I want to, feel the support from. So to be recognised by the Irish film community is like the most incredible thing ever.
I think an IFTA is huge. Just the way you said it so casually, you're like, an IFTA.
I try and not kind of put a huge emphasis though on awards as on a whole. Because there's so many awards that aren't thought of, like there's just so many jobs in film and television that don't get awards. So I'm like, yes, to some degree it's beautiful, but it's also I like to talk about the job itself and the people who made it and the people who don't get the recognition.
Do you feel that you're like, or do you find it important then to talk about how you're a cog in a big wheel or a big machine of creating a piece of art?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that IFTA without the incredible writing that went into that, or the incredible directing, or the people who were kind of like informing in the writing room, and the other actors around me. Like, it's all our...
See, now she have a week to take a lesson in selflessness here. This is... Because I'd be up and I'd be like, I want to thank myself for being great. Someone get a picture of me from all angles with this. Come on. You must... Because we were talking off air about owning... things. Is it also like a very innately Irish thing to be like, oh shit, she's just now live if I don't know how I won it. I mean, I just, I don't know. Must have been a mistake, I'd say.
We'll give you all the props in here, Hazel. Okay, we love to gas people
funny.
up.
Yeah.
Where does it live in your house?
It lives on top of my. I have a little triangular kind of china cabinet that I have like china in, but it's really just like mugs from people that I love, and then it's on top of that.
Because the other way you hear of people being like, oh, I was in whoever's house and the Oscars are in their toilets.
They're using it as a door stopper. No.
Hazel, how this came to be and how we got you onto the pod was after a night in Vicar Street. I was lucky enough to be sat beside you. It was at Vittorio Angeloni's gig, and the funniest thing happened that I feel we're in a safe space now to admit and tell you. We sat down. I actually sat right beside you. Our manager Joe was on the other side of me, and Darren and Shiva were sitting at the other side of the auditorium, and I was like, oh my god, I'm beside Hazel. Now, I don't think I had your full name, but I text girls being like, girls, I'm sitting beside Marion Price from Say Nothing. I'm starstruck. And we were texting over and back. And then I was like trying to build myself up like, what a weirdo, to turn around to you and be like, hi.
Oh, no, were you actually?
Yeah, I actually was. We were
built up the courage. Built up the courage for you. Yeah.
Isn't that gas?
That's so sweet. Because I was literally, I turned to my sister after about 30 minutes. I was like, I think I know this lady next to me. I think I watch your podcast.
Aww.
Yeah. And I've watched you guys since I was, since the inception of it, because there's so few Irish language podcasts.
Oh, girl, meet them all, Hazel. Yeah, we love to hear that.
Yeah, I was at I think you guys did a talk in Dingle a couple of years ago at the Other Voices. Yeah, I was at that and it was gorgeous.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
It was really good, Hazel. Oh, we were very hungover that day. It was my birthday. You probably signed for me. Thank you.
I did. I think. Yeah, I can't remember.
You can always tell like a hungover howtogael show because like we wrap up early and make Darren sing a song.
Yeah.
You're like, if in doubt, please channels.
That's every show. So that's every show. But I was saying it was gas because normally when we have the near and bud creator, it's it's emails, it's this. But we met you in real life. That doesn't happen a lot. It's normally an online connection. But we went old school. We met in real life. So we're delighted now. Good with Stiglin. Delighted. But we want to know. Oh, go on.
Well, also I was going to say because you came hotly recommended as well from your pal Vittorio. So that's how we got along to that gig. He put us on the guest list, and it was so funny. It's like the universe was sending you in our direction because he spent it. We rolled the tapes. We have a clip of Vittorio talking about how deadly he thinks you are, and you did you do a podcast or something together?
We did a thing called Art to Art.
Go on.
And it was just a kind of a conversation between two artists that come from different places or different artistic backgrounds. And you just chat for an hour, and it's going to be out soon. But that was where we met, and then the next day I think he was on your podcast. And the next day we were all in the same Vicar Street.
He's great, isn't he?
He's amazing.
His show was phenomenally funny. Now I have to say, that was a rare night out for me, and it was worth it.
Oh, so good. It was brilliant. But anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty, the nuts and the bolts, Hazel, and tell us your scale. Like, obviously, we know you're an award-winning Irish actress, but why do we know you? When did this all start? What's the story?
The story is, when I was about 4 years old, I did what we called a filler act in between like school shows at I think it was the Christmas school show in my primary school, and I fell up the stairs on the way to perform Mrs. Doyle, a two-hander between my brother and me. He was playing Bishop Brennan, I was playing Mrs. Doyle, and I fell up the stairs and I was like, oh, I could die right now, or I could keep walking up the stairs and make everybody laugh. And then that's what I proceeded to do. And I was like, I like this kind of this arena of being able to keep people, following my every word and kind of breathless as to what's going to come next type of thing. And that was the beauty of live performance to me, which was all very intellectual for a 4-year-old. I definitely wasn't thinking all those thoughts.
You were very ahead of your years, weren't you?
Were.
Smart child.
No, I think that in retrospect, but there were a lot of like lovely feelings happening at the time, I'm sure. And then when I was about 9, I went into drama class that was like improv every Sunday with an amazing actress called Mary Murray, and she like fostered whatever I had, whatever we all had, because there were just loads of kids in the class that were either shy or like really talented and didn't know how to let that all come to the surface. So she was an incredible catalyst for all of us, an incredible teacher and sport, and just like she'd just like be there like cackling at us even when I knew I was being the most unfunny person ever. She was there cackling and made us feel like so allowed to make mistakes, and like even if you're not being as funny as you wish you were in a certain improv, you're still, I don't know, what you say is still hitting.
It's that belief. Yeah.
So then she started sending us for auditions, and I got an audition, and then from that I kind of got more auditions and an agent, and then an English agent, and then I kind of just rolled into, I was working all throughout school.
What was that like?
Amazing. I mean, I say that there's like massive gaps in my knowledge, especially when it comes to history, that exists because I was taken out of school for months at a time to do a job. But like, I got knowledge in other areas that are like obviously standing to me to this day, and I wouldn't change it for the world. I mean, I can always go back and learn history, but those moments where you get the opportunity to follow your dream. I was very lucky that my parents that they were supportive of it.
Well, it's so cool, like, isn't it? Like, imagine being in your class. I'm sure your friends were like, oh, there she is now. She's off Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like, what was the big, because I'd imagine your parents would have had to, like, the role would need to be big enough to justify taking you out of school for. So what are we talking? Like, what were these gigs?
Like, when I think I was 12 or 13, and I went over to London and Luxembourg to shoot an ITV film, which was kind of going to be the Christmas special that year, and it was an adaptation of Peter Pan that was called Peter and Wendy, and it was amazing. It was such an incredible job. I got to scuba dive, I got to fly on wires, I got to be up in mountains, and like all of the other kids that were doing it with us, like we all just formed this like family. There's some of them actually that I still am in contact with now and again, but yeah, that was one very, very special one that I just feel so lucky that I got to do, and that I got to leave school for, because I know there's some school like in the UK and stuff, like they really don't let you move out of school and into acting when you're still supposed to be schooled. I think there's quite a lot of restrictions and laws around that, which I was just very lucky that I was in a
supportive environment.
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of sounds like you knew who you were and what you wanted from a very young age.
Yeah, I think so. I think when I was younger, I wanted to either be a singer or an actress.
Okay.
And
Shy and
one year-
retiring Hazel Doupe.
Oh God. Yeah. 1 year I was like, I think I had gotten this like X Factor, what are they called, karaoke sets that had like the TV on the front of it, and it was about this height, TV on the front of it and a webcam, and I was singing my heart out to Leona Lewis as everyone was out like cooking dinner. And at the end of it, the webcam came on and the TV stopped showing the lyrics and started showing my face, and I was just like, oh God. I was like, do I really want this? Do I really want to be? So many singers have died from all kinds of things, and that was like probably a very existential thought.
I was
for
gonna
however old
say,
I was, probably 10.
I don't think that was the aim of the karaoke box. You know?
No, I
Probably
don't
not.
think so. But it made me pivot towards acting full speed ahead, and I'm very grateful for that.
What a slayer. Oh
to
my
the
goodness.
X Factor box.
Because do you know what strikes me about you? You're unassuming and you are like a gentle person. My husband sometimes calls me a bulldozer, the way I land into places. So
I love that energy.
I know. Bulldozer's awful, isn't it? You bulldozed in. he'll
No,
say.
because I'm a fellow bulldozer here, so I take it as a compliment, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
would as
isn't
well.
it interesting to, so we obviously are women who work in media as well. But I think if you're like presenting something, that you kind of have that exterior that's a bit, here I am, Tommy on Shaw, Whereas
Yeah.
I feel like, you have the energy that's far more gentle and refined. And is that something that, has that always been Hazel, Ag Fos in the East, or is it something you developed as you grew into your life now?
Yeah, I think that's always been my way. I got a bit militant when I was about 15 and went vegan, which is a topic of what we want to talk about here. But
Let's do it.
yeah, I got a bit like angry at the world when I was younger, because I was seeing all of this kind of fallout from massive industry and corporations and agriculture, and I was recognizing that was going to be impacting my future and the people younger than me and all of the generations that come next. And I think that's probably the only time I've ever not been super gentle
Okay.
in my life. And then when that wasn't working, when that kind of approach wasn't working, I just realized like shame is the least effective motivator in the world.
Mm.
You just have to approach everything with love and compassion, and that's basically the movement of veganism.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about that, because I know we'll get to some of your work and incredible thing you've done on screen, but let's talk about the veganism, because I know this is something very close to your heart.
Yeah, and tá sé anceancail to Ríomhphost.
Oh, will?
Yeah,
okay, spatial.
Yeah.
So, Misha on in-house vegetarian and seo. Okay, so it's fiol hain tormé and Neil Mahesh fiol le ocht. I said up yeah. And I've done vegan stints, but like dum said she talk o have na teamplug the so like environmental reasons and cruelty reasons. Come on, like animal rights is really cosúla sin. But inis dom fui duscéil agus conas gur hosa tusa the ashter mar vegan.
I'm a vegan. Sin fogad an leisciúil nach
Well, I know, because fiol haintor. So the Irish for vegetarian is fiol haintor, which means meat denier. You know,
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was testing out some other words you might see. These might fit you better. Okay, so if I'm a fiol haintor, you're denying more than just meat. Okay,
Yeah.
so you could be an im haintor. That's a butter denier.
okay.
You could be a chocolate haintor, a chocolate denier. You could be a cáis haintor,
Okay.
cheese denier.
This all sounds like my nightmare. I'm sorry.
I do want to put out there are vegan cheeses, there are vegan butters, there are vegan chocolates,
Thank
and
you, Thugget.
actually a lot of chocolates are vegan.
Go on, Hazel.
So tá sé ceangail den Ríomhphost, like nuair a bhí mé like thusig mé ag aisteoireacht mar is grálam daoine agus is grálam an timplacht agus is grálam an dahan ar fad agus like bhí mé géirí like dearcú de friúla all agus like I just wanted to walk in other people's shoes constantly and like so like learn veganism mar sin because I was kind of thinking about people and like my whole reason for becoming an actor was to try and represent people. Besides obviously making people laugh on stage, my reason was to try and represent people who might not otherwise have a voice, and then that expanded towards animals as well. The motivation for it is totally just anti-oppression of all kinds, and I think a lot of people agree with that sentiment. It's just about kind of aligning the actions with the morals, because we all kind of have those morals, I think, and about being mindful of like what you're eating and how it got to your plate. Like I went vegetarian when I was about 13. I think that like bhí an talamh torthúil like I meáir like chun like é a fástú like an smaointe sin a fástú like because I was able to kind of like see literally from a different perspective because I was in those shoes, and then after doing the performance going to watch playback and being like, oh my god, there's another angle to this, there's somebody watching me do that, I'm now watching me playing somebody, like all of those different angles of life, and recognizing that they're all true. And then being able to just recognize that like there is a somebody inside every animal, and that like, because when I was younger I just thought of the farm animals that I was looking at and petting as somebody's, and then the meat on my plate as something. But they're so connected. So I went vegetarian when I was 13.
It's a very treat yourself mentality. You'll fit in great around here, Hazel.
I treat myself all the time. I love a good treat. Yeah, I truly do, every day.
And Phelan sa ceiste curfui, dúirtas an sin, like knock ma an earlish a noira. So you said shame is not a good tool for this. So inistún faoin gui go being so say play leis a noira of wind to kind of remove the shame for people, because I know people can feel triggered as soon as they feel that like they can feel personally attacked once, even though you're just stating how you're living your life. For some people that can be quite abrasive, I think.
Totally.
So how do you approach that?
I try not to get personal with it with other people. I try and kind of just lay out the facts and hope that somebody kind of thinks maybe that that their actions contradict their morals, but not in a way that I'm like saying I see this in you type of thing. Because I recognize that like meat and dairy and eggs are all very, very like traditional, like tá sé an ceangailta le tradiisiún agus like béilí sanolig agus
agus ácairithe in éireann.
I'm pretty oscailte to it all, do you know what? And I'm glad gur dúirte gur rud tradiisiúnta tá an, because I was reared by parents who both come from big farming families, and it would have almost like, you know, I suppose their livelihood depended on the cows and depended on beef or milk, and that's how they were reared, and without that they wouldn't have had any money in their houses, you know. So I think it's not even, it's I don't know, it's so interesting. I don't ever really think about it like the moral side of it, but I absolutely you're right. And I would say for so many Irish families historically, you know, the more important thing I suppose was putting food on the table and making money for the family. And when you're from a country like this, an island surrounded by waters that are, you know, where we fish and all, it's hard to sell the vegan dream.
It can be. I think what's important is that like so much of our land is being used, it's being monocropped with kind of grass for grass-fed beef, and that eliminates biodiversity by a massive scale. And if we were to give that land back to nature and start planting indigenous trees there, like so many things fall out from that are just gorgeous. And if we were to give farmers subsidies then to start farming plants instead of animals, like think of the lives that we're saving because we're not bringing them into circulation to be then killed. And also the bounty that we would then reap, like the abundance of food that we would have because of just how scalable grain and plants and all of these things that aren't animals are.
Yeah.
Because they don't require that much land.
Yeah. They were thinking a little more wine. They were like, well, if everyone's vegetarian, there wouldn't be as many cows alive on the planet. I was like, that's the point, lovey. They're not living in a 5-star hotel. Do you know what I mean?
Anybody who's alive currently deserves to be suffering less, and that's the whole thing. But if we bring them into existence just for them to suffer, that's not really virtuous.
No, Neil Shay, really. But no, Shay, it's Brawl and Guma to play show. We were discussing about diversity, Aaron Bodla Daney and Narodi Shin. But Tashiana Hafta Dumsa, the Misha Togal Posh to Sawalia in it, and Tashay Mar Flanagan, Lanu Lesson Fiol Hain Thort, it's Fiol Hain Thort Mo Archela Coma, but I mean, look, it'll be their decision.
Will she get a choice? Oh, sorry, you were just about to say it.
Well, so once she's of age to be making her own decisions, she can make her own decisions. But I'm not going to be serving up ishbini agus chicken nuggets. Do you know what I mean?
Ma'am, all I want is a nugget.
I'd be like, well, you can go down to Sarah's house and get your nuggets down in Sarah's house, can't you? Yeah, no, obviously I thought she had kosher. She goes to a children's birthday party. I'm not going to be like, no burgers, But in Muhyak, Neil Muid kind of because that's our ethos, in our doc, our ethos is no meat. So I'm not going to be going back on that.
Yeah.
It's Frater Leia Kinty and of Nurse but for me, I'm not going to go against what we've lived for 8.5 years. It just wouldn't make sense to me. I'm not going to start buying it in the weekly shop, So let's lewer fwing Gaeilge. Mar thus a fálam na Gaeilge in it, Hazel, not Gael. So in it down fwy shin.
Well, hosig meg fálam Gaeilge, well, nervy meg carbon dish agus. Yeah, bhí sé ag fiosú nar chuaigh meg chuig an Gaeltacht. So yeah, I was very lucky to be able to go, and I experienced a totally different side of Irish to what I knew from school. Yeah, it was just it was just inspiring.
Yes.
And
Cén Gaeltacht an raibh tú?
Closh the Camish.
Oh yeah. Ag go Mara. Yeah, Rosa Veal on it.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. So yeah, tar éis sin bhí Gaeilge agam agus nílam lífa fós ach just tá sé agam agus úsáilde mé.
Oh, nice little character Conan saying that did not go unnoticed.
And then I did a short in Irish, and I think I've always just felt like it's gada mé a úsáid, a úsáid, because our ancestors were sanctioned for speaking this language for hundreds of years, and now that I have the opportunity to do so, I should.
Clock it.
Clug A.
Clug A. Clug E.
Clug E.
Yeah, so yeah, it's even ag úsáid I it's just
on a sexy not well.
Yeah.
Tá.
On a sexy.
Yeah. An féidir leat leir pís beag faoin rud atá ag tacht go TGca go lua.
Yeah, tá ag déanam fam a chéad scan an fada as Gaeilge. Agus ba ag ghlach part in a woman who is from she's from Belfast, and so I'll have to learn the Ulster dialect for that.
Oh, go hauling.
So yeah, that's it.
Now, that's
again another
honestly
privilege.
Yeah, Gaeilge Ulla it's up there.
Yeah, I love it. And then the story itself is really, really, really beautiful. It's a story that a lot of people are kind of familiar with. It's not a true story per se. It's based on fiction, but bunithe scéalta atá ag na what would you call it, bunaitheoirí, the directors and the producers and all. They'd be quite close with some have parents who've gone through dementia, and so the story is kind of about the things dementia takes from a person, and it's a celebration of what a person has been before that, and their kind of last journey. I guess it's kind of a Thelma and Louise type of story. It's really it's going to be really gorgeous, I think.
Anna, will sé tábhachtach this go bhfuil tú ag cruthú PC ibre as Gaeilge?
Oh yeah, an tábhachtach. Yeah. I mean, I've always said that one of my biggest goals is to, and this was before I really spoke Irish very well at all, but one of my biggest goals was to speak a language fluently in a film, and I thought that was going to be French first, And then I obviously went to the Gaeltacht and realised that all of the beauty of language was here in this country, and could be accessed. And then, from then on, it was like, I want to be the voice of Kung Fu Panda in Tishigar when they change and they dub it into Irish.
SpongeBob SquarePants,
it's so good. It was so good.
Shout out you, Car. Actually, Joe, is gas and Rode like agus Tarlene J. Gominic, like people that we know from the world of the Gaels will end up voicing a cartoon, and you're like looking at Rode.
Sinead Unicorn, what are you doing here?
There's so and so as a turtle, or like, you know.
Exactly.
That's a cool gig, isn't it?
Very
So
cool.
good.
I haven't got into it yet, Sinead, but Befralam. Like, and imagine impressing your posh to being like, that's me. They'd be like, shut no, it's not.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. Do you know Marcus Lamb, the actor? He's again an amazing Irish actor, and he voiced Shrek. And I could hear Shrek, like Mike Myers' Shrek, coming from the Shrek that I was watching, which was Oscuega. And then I was like, no, I can hear a twinge of Marcus Lamb. Is that Marcus Lamb? And it was like the most pitch perfect Shrek I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
In a totally different language.
Shrek Oscuega. Very
So
impressive. Yeah, agus an Arienche, like on Blas Albanoch, like the Scottish accent in Gaeilge.
I think so, yeah.
That's super impressive.
Yeah. Sally Shinner and CV, like voice of Shrek. I love. But actually, and I know going with your as Amma, it's always the way, isn't it? We could stay talking to Hazel forever, but we need to talk about, you know, the powerful stories that you've helped tell on our screens, and particularly Irish stories. We're all mega fans of Say Nothing. Yeah. We loved it. It was a topic of conversation. Le Fada-in-law studio show. Agus, bhí role mór agat say you were Marion Price. So you were playing the role of a woman who still lives, a woman who's got a very interesting Irish story. How was that?
Yeah. It was honestly one of the most amazing experiences ever. Like, to get to tell that story with Anto and Lola and Josh. Josh is from Liverpool and I'm obviously from Dublin. So Lola and Anto are the two like most kind of close to that story. And then the way we all kind of just, I don't know, became family. I know that's such a twee thing to say, but like it genuine, that is how it goes.
Yes.
Like you just become family. And then, and I think, so I wasn't able to meet Marion and there wasn't like a whole load of kind of recorded footage of her online, or there wasn't a lot of her kind of speaking online. I had to really go off of what was in the scripts, and they were written so beautifully and it had such a touch of like, we'll tell the whole truth that we can tell, that we know, or as close to it as we can possibly get. And then it's up to everybody else who watches this movie or who watches this show to devise for themselves what they think is right and wrong. And I think that's so important as art today, to not sort of handhold your audience into thinking a certain way. I mean, you know, we're inundated with like more of the same media depending on how much we interact with it constantly. And then going further and further left field or further and further right field, and then just like, that's never good for anybody. I think it's so important to encourage critical thinking. So in a situation where a lot of what happens in that show would be, you know, villainized, or at least a stance would be taken by Disney or by the creators, that was such a gift that we were just able to play children, and then children who were pacifists who then had to become radical to protect themselves and the people they loved, or that's what they felt they had to do. And it was such a beautiful working ground to be able to play in.
Yeah, I'd imagine it must have been like very obviously consuming, but maybe educational as well for a girl who grew up in Dublin. Like, did it change any of your maybe opinions, or did you learn or see an insight that you never had thought about before?
Yeah, I think I feel very green. I feel sometimes very wise. I've always been like quiet and like silently observing people since I was really young, and so sometimes that makes me feel kind of wise, but I feel still very, very green on this earth. So I feel constantly like I'm learning and like I don't know the whole story, and that my opinion can change and all of these things. And so yeah, definitely there was so much room for knowledge, like expansion of knowledge and growth there. I don't think my opinion on anything changed Yeah, I just feel like I have a more well-rounded and more like a greater understanding of why I think the way I do.
Okay.
About that time, and more why I feel the way I do. I now have thoughts that back up the feelings
Okay.
that like didn't necessarily exist before.
Well,
yeah.
Because I have one more question about, obviously Lola was your co-star.
Yeah.
She made a really powerful speech at the IFTAs, and she's
They.
sorry, yeah, they made a really powerful speech at the IFTAs, and that kind of went Irish viral. Well, it went actually as viral as it could, and everyone was talking about, I suppose, they've the lived experience of coming from West Belfast.
Yeah.
So, what did you think of that?
Their speech,
Yeah.
oh my god, like floored me. Like I was in tears when they made their speech when we were all at the IFTAs for saying nothing. I was like, oh my god, I hadn't heard it before then, and I was just so proud and proud of them. Like I could feel their voice kind of shaking and their hands shaking, and I was just like, you are the bravest person I've ever met.
What's your relationship like with them?
Oh my god, I would move mountains for Lola, like, and vice versa. We are so in love, like platonically.
That's how rumours start, Hazel.
No, I love them to bits and their partner, and it will be a friendship and a love to stand the test of time.
Oh, well, that's what we always say, isn't it, Louise? I think we've said that before.
You know, creating art together really bonds you. I'm not saying Ali and Nathan. So well, it's in their own category.
We dance around it.
Yeah, we
dance
do.
around it. But can I ask a question? I'm really going to ask a question. You know, especially when you're a gober liver than through Disney, like an Rud Haggans le Shrek Sula Shin is this kind of pure machine, and you must have done a lot of like interviews and what are they called, junkets and this kind of stuff. Talk to us about the glam that goes with that, because there's a lot of planning that goes into it. You know, I'm so interested in that side of things. Like one of my dreams is to do a junket. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, it's good crack. You certainly feel a bit like, what the hell is going on here? Like there's so much else to be thinking about and doing. So it's funny that way, but to get to work with people that you love, like I work with my best friend Maria Patriarca, who styles me all the time, and she is a phenomenal stylist and fashion designer. She made my top,
which we've been admiring. Look at the claddagh.
It's incredible.
Yeah,
it's just made by hand, and she's actually launching a brand soon, which is all about, she's vegan and an animal activist as well, and a human rights activist too, and she's just amazing, and she's launching a brand. Can I say what it's called? It's called Not Another Dove.
Oh, beautiful.
And the ethos is just to not be sorry for the love that you feel towards all around you.
That's stunning.
Yeah, so I get to work with her, and that is a massive, 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 massive privilege.
Can I ask, just before you go, what's the dream role? Where are we going to see you in 10 years' time?
Oh, Gráinne.
Oh my God.
I love.
Give her the Oscar.
Yeah.
Give her the Oscar. You've got the role.
I'm actually working on a show at the moment, which, like, if not Gráinne, this would be my dream role.
Oh, it's an honor exciting.
And
You can't give us anything else more than that.
But it's
Is it coming
very
to
special.
TV or cinema?
Oh, we're going to say we got an exclusive. We got nothing, but we're going to say we got an exclusive anyway. All right.
Well, what we did get was an incredible chat with an epic Irish woman and vegan. Gurmila
Hazel, great to have you. You'n chatting Colin, Hazel?
Oh my goodness. Keiko shave is táisí mar ghuine.
Ní bhain shave, ach just like introspective. Like mohím go smuoinín siar gachal a rud and ní smuoinín muidne fucking rud ar bit.
Yeah.
So
it's undifferent though. I actually think this is a thing with artists. I'm not saying, sorry, I sound like I'm saying that in like taking the piss away.
Sure.
Artists, creatives.
Sure.
Okay. I have this thought that I feel people who are very dying and deeply, deeply creative, I think, stop to think a lot before they speak. I sometimes think that like when you work when you're working in the world of entertainment and you're on the front of like fronting a show and your job is to fill the airtime, just lan into a raig ag leabhar to be ag líne on spás agus líne on airtime agus ní stopping to agus ní bhíonn tú really explain of like what am I saying?
Yes, whereas the next le Hazel is Claire goes she hates like dín bhacnamh a dhéanamh like gach tóram atá eici, and I really think that we could do with a bit of that in our lives.
Yeah, like ní raibh si gira aon rud a rá gan, I suppose, almost smuoineh a dús.
Yeah, we said it to her afterwards. We were like, geez, you think about before you speak. We don't read. She goes, yeah, that's why I love the podcast. You don't think before you speak. So on Mahan Rodishin, I don't know, but look, if it's good enough for Hazel Doupe, Chimachal or Dumsa.
It's a blessing and a curse now. It's got us in trouble as well.
Absolutely. But I go yup agus Yachna Shachtana. So okay, the Misha Hayes yup because Yachna Shachtana around and talking show, and I'm really fucking passionate to Fina Rucha, and that is bakeries. Okay, so there's a bakery Gardum, okay, Bacchus, and it's an old school bakery. You don't get many of these. I was talking to the baker and the head baker, and he was saying there's only like one of them on the north side, 3 of them left on the south side, and they make the good old fashioned coffee slices. Do you know a coffee slice? Oh my God, I love them. I will bring some actually next week, guys, okay?
And give me a vanilla slice. Is it called?
Yes,
you know those? Yeah.
Yes, they have them as well. The vanilla slices, yeah, they really, really good. But Vishesh raw, yes, this cream and the jam and the pastry is like flaky and dry and just geheven. But Vishesh raw, they're like a dying breed. Like ní and like the upcoming pastry places are more of the, and this is my Yachna Shachtana, the real buttery 2-layered on croissants, and they're this size. They're as big as your head. You can't eat one in one sitting. Bring back coffee slices.
Bring back coffee slices, Aintiam Lat, and I really do Aintiam Lat a reached for a Yachna Shacht being a croissant, whatever it is. I have never been a fan of croissants. I like a pain au chocolat. Absolutely. I like an almond croissant if there's nothing else on offer and if it's really fresh. But I'd lay a croissant behind me.
Well, it's actually, I'm obsessed with almond croissants, but they're big enough. They're a meal for 3. Do you know what I mean? Like they'd feed a family of 4 in a keen third deal.
I find them a bit sickly when they're too like, packed with.
They are.
Gunk
I love the gunk.
Do you?
I love the almondy gunk. Yeah, no, it's Malamashin.
I'm just not a croissant gal. Like.
Do you know what's gas? So Dortha's a croissant and shin savalak shin. So Vilmish Lidin Ladani and now need in a Aaron of Yown, but folks, they said to me with a straight face, I love what you're doing with the language because like it's a dead one. And I was like, what? Because people don't normally say that. Just far aigen, right?
A loser.
No, just far aigen. It's not Griffin Tishkin to get Aaron Jonga, okay? But he was like, oh yeah, because if you make aisteoir liver aigen and the other Lara Tasquelga, and then they threw in the word broccoli like in English because you obviously don't have a word in Irish for broccoli. And I was like, but like we don't have a word in English for croissant, you know, it doesn't mean it like English isn't a fucking dead language just because we use the French word for croissant. Do you know what I mean? Like, so that triggered me now in talking show.
Well, Gurmaga, that's right.
Yeah, the fault right.
Don't ever be triggered and not share it with us, alright?
Ní mission. We must find now some vegan coffee slices than Kate Relic by Hazel Doupe. Hopefully she'll have her Oscar. I'll have the vegan coffee slices. There you go. Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle. Well, look, at least you were taking care of like the vegetarian side of things. I was able to at least say I did a bit of Irish fashion. So between us, we weren't the worst.
No, I think she was actually quite impressed.
Because more Lydia. Well, Shinráite, Pemmo Rash reached an tacht Shkun, agus chance meg Dear and Lynn Cuma.
Oh, le cún broad day agus buick is all war le fault and reach us earthy and ever both really show. Could you talk to Shogun?
Slán.